Welcome back to Azimuth Podcast. I'm Barrett McNabb, and I'm joined by my beautiful wife, Kimberly McNabb. Well, today we're covering a new trend on social media, progressive young women converting to Islam, and these ladies are documenting their journeys after being inspired by Palestinian protest in the U.S. We can even see this covered in news articles and social media such as Fox News, TikTok, X, and others. So, progressive women converting to Islam and sharing their reasons on social media since October 7th. Now, we're not bashing the religion of Islam, but converting shouldn't be treated like a fad because it's a one-way street and you can't convert back according to the text. So, here's what these women are in for.
Exactly. This article lists two social media influencers who document their conversions. One is a self-proclaimed leftist queer gremlin.
Okay.
I'm not sure that's a compliment.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like a compliment. But let's take a look of some of her social media profiles. I believe this is from TikTok.
Good morning, you are gay. I have a feeling that it's gonna be a wonderful sleigh.
Okay. And then this is 3 days after converting to Islam.
She's smart to tone down the makeup, but there are some places to cover even just a little bit of hair can get you killed. So she might want to practice wearing the head covering.
Yeah, you know, the interesting thing is it seems as though she's, treating it as a fashion statement. And again, this cool little fad that she can just jump into. But I think, if they keep documenting all of this on TikTok, there's going to be, a catalog of people that are looking at this all over the world. Mm-hmm. And the danger is if it's perceived, I'm not saying it is, but if it's perceived by people that are in more strict Islamic countries and a fatwa gets issued against her for mocking Islam, the fact that she's, gay and parading around and treating the religious, head covering as a fashion statement, and her, even though her intentions might be good, the fact that she's parading around and going to start probably telling the world that she's a gay Muslim, someone could do something, and an email gets sent, and her life could be in jeopardy.
Well, a concern of mine is some women might, not understand everything that can go on in practice. They convert. And they decide, okay, I'm not finding a Muslim man here that I like. I'm going to go online and find someone. And then they meet someone in another country, and then they move there. No one's coming to save you once you realize what you got yourself entangled in. And I hope that these social media influencers also record, on TikTok when they realize that Islam condemns the LGBTQ cosine, tangent, alphabet soup.
Yeah, the community. And, also, as far as one of the pillars of Islam, there's 5, but is to conduct the Hajj and go to Mecca and go to this holy site. And, having her social media presence preceding herself is going to be very difficult when she gets into Saudi Arabia and is either recognized or, where is your male guardian in order to complete the Hajj. So if she's serious in doing all the things that Islam says you need to do with the 5 pillars, the fasting for Ramadan, the giving alms, praying 5 times a day. And so she needs to do all these things. And if she's not willing to do this stuff.
And doing the call to prayer, and it is not just in the daytime, it is in the middle of the night. And it is, you got to wake up and you don't get to sleep long.
Right. Any other influencers?
So another influencer is mentioned in this article. Her name is Megan Rice.
Okay.
And I watched a short of hers. She said that she was surprised how the values in the Quran align with hers. Well, what sadly screams to me is that she probably has no idea what Christian values are.
Right.
And, also, do these women have any idea what Hamas did to women on October 7th? I mean, breasts were cut off. Women were raped in front of their friends and then shot, like, at the same time. Where was Me Too on that?
It seems like Me Too got an epic fail.
Yeah, and, it wasn't just Israeli women that were raped and killed on October 7th either.
Right. And, let's not forget about the babies whose heads were chopped off and burned, thrown into ovens. I mean, just an absolute horror show on this. And not even just if you're saying, well, the Jews are occupying land. Well, there were foreign nationals that had nothing to do with anything. Thai workers from Thailand that were just farm workers, and they were led into the field and just executed. And again, they weren't Jewish. So I hope these women know what they've gotten themselves into. I really hope they're not treating it just as a fad, because religion should be taken seriously, whether you're a Christian, a Jew, Hindu, Muslim. I mean, it's some serious consideration to do, and just by posting it on social media after going to a protest, I think is probably a little extreme, I'd say. But that concludes this segment of Azimuth Podcast. Please stay tuned after these messages.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for listening. If you enjoy our show with all the stories we share, we would love your support.
And it's as easy as clicking that subscribe or follow button. This will ensure you never miss an episode and keeps us bringing you these important stories. Your support makes a huge difference. Thank you so much for being part of our podcast family.
Thanks, and keep tuning in.
Welcome back to Azimuth Podcast. I'm Barrett McNabb, and with me is my beautiful wife, Kimberly McNabb. We have been seeing a lot of negative news lately. I mean, just been absolutely inundated with all of this, and we really just kind of wanted to add a new segment called One Good Thing, where we cover a good news story for a change, and to show the good side of humanity. Our first comes from an article in USA Today where a cancer patient paid off millions of dollars in medical debt for strangers before she died. Casey McIntyre died of ovarian cancer, and she urged her friends to donate to a campaign that would cancel the medical debt of strangers. On X, formerly known as Twitter, she posted that she was arranging to buy up others' medical debt and then destroy it in order to celebrate her life.
Well, she included a link to the nonprofit RIP Medical Debt. By the time of her death on November 12th, that campaign had raised almost $200,000, which was enough to pay off nearly $19 million in debt.
That's crazy. That's incredible.
After her death, donations continued to pour in, and as of November 27th, about 2 weeks later, 98% of the nearly $700,000 campaign goal had been raised, which will destroy about $54 million in medical debt.
That is an astounding number. That is an astounding number and an amazing celebration of her life. But this medical debt also included dental expenses, and a lot of people don't have dental insurance. So how this debt collection worked, the hospitals and the medical providers have, debt. You go to the hospital, you go to the emergency room, and it costs, $3,000, $6,000, $20,000. You give birth, and it's $30,000. I mean, it can get crazy expensive very, very quickly. And so these medical facilities, the hospitals and doctors' offices, send out collection notices. Hey, look, you need to pay your bill. And sometimes people just can't afford to do it. And so they go into arrears and have this medical debt on top of them. Ordinarily, what happens is debt collection agencies will buy up that debt from the the medical providers, whether it's hospitals, doctors' offices, etc., and then they'll take over, and that's when you get all these that are illegal now, but the harassing emails, the harassing text messages, the harassing phone calls. They'll try and convince you, hey, can you pay a portion of the debt now? All of these
Do the
things.
debt collectors pay the same amount, or do they buy it pennies on the dollar?
Yeah, they buy it pennies on the dollar.
Because the medical facility was about to write it off as a bad expense, right?
Exactly. And so by paying pennies on the dollar for this debt, they get a profit. The debt collectors get a profit off of this, is why they're doing it, and the hospitals get something.
Yes.
They get something. So in general, about $1 donated to this foundation was able to abolish $100 in medical debt. So again, it pennies on the dollar in order to erase this debt. And so what's happening is the nonprofit is doing an end round to these debt collectors and going directly to the medical providers and buying up that debt themselves, and then they just rip it up.
Yep, they forgive it. Yeah, so how RIP, medical debt, finds people who are eligible to have debt forgiven. They use an analytics to find households that, one, either earn less than 4 times the federal poverty level, and for instance, in a single household, that's $54,360 in annual income, or people who have debts, medical debts, that are more than 5% of their annual income, which really isn't that much. So if you make $60,000 a year, that it only equals $3,000. And
Right.
That's easy to rack up. I mean, me, for instance, I didn't have any surgeries, no hospital stays, no outpatient procedures. I had 2 MRIs. 2. After health insurance, I got billed $1,000.
Right.
And so if you actually have something happen, or your insurance isn't that good, or it's out of network, it's definitely easy to go over $3,000. And then, if you have a high deductible plan, a family high deductible plan, your out-of-pocket costs can range from $5,000 to $7,000 a year.
And until you hit your cap.
Yes.
Right.
And so it's easy to hit that. And then, I know a lot of people without dental insurance, as you mentioned. So
Right.
you get something complicated done on your mouth, you're easily over that $5,000 limit. Another question to ask about all this, another outlook of all this is, what are the tax effects? Because sometimes, you might have someone pay something for you, or you may have a debt.
Oprah could give you a new car.
Debt forgiven, or, you go on a game show and you win a new car, and then in April you get a tax bill. And you're like, wait a minute, they didn't give me cash. It's still counted as income. Like if you go to Las Vegas and you win cash, guess what? You're going to get a 1099-G for gambling earnings. And so, what are the tax effects of this? Well, good news here as well. There are 2 exemptions on having debt forgiven.
Okay.
1, medical debt, and 2, tuition, bills that people pay on your behalf. Now, the thing to keep in mind is you don't want people giving you the money for your tuition and medical expenses, and then you turn around and use that money to pay for it, because then it will be considered a gift. And then, ironically enough, the person who gave you the money may have to pay
A gift
tax.
Right.
Yes. This year, the limit is $17,000. Next year, it includes $18,000 before the person giving the gift has to pay gift tax on it. But if they pay the institution directly, whether it's the university directly for tuition or the hospital directly for the medical debt, then there's no gift tax, income tax, anything to worry about.
Okay. Yeah, because I think, the big problem when, Oprah gave everybody in her audience a car multiple decades ago, she actually got sued because there was a gentleman that the car put him in a higher tax bracket. And so he wound up losing money on the deal. and so that's the example of the gift tax, that giving it directly to the person, but having student loan paid directly to the colleges, and having this particular money given directly to the medical institutions, it bypasses all that.
Yep, exactly.
Okay. Awesome. Well, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. As the Affordable Care Act is continuing to work its way through our society. Even Elizabeth Warren has admitted that the cost of health care has gone up, which was the opposite of the intended effect of the Affordable Care Act, or Obamacare, as some people call it. And so it's kind of amazing that we're going to see probably more and more people going into this debt as we get sicker, and as the health care prices keep going up due to the repercussions of the Affordable Care Act.
Yeah. I remember Reagan's famous words. The most 9 dreaded words of the English language is, I'm here from the government and I'm here to help.
Right. Absolutely.
From the government and I'm here to help. So government interfering with your health care. Yeah. No, get roads right first. Get schools right first.
Right. But again, we wanted to make sure that we brought this story to you because it is a good news story, and it just goes to show that people being charitable is always going to be the best. It's not government assistance that's doing this. It's people that are voluntarily donating to charity to help their fellow American. And I couldn't be more proud of her, and just to have that celebration of life and to do continuous assistance for people even after you're gone. What a brave woman, and what a great story. So thank you so much for watching this episode of Azimuth Podcast, and please stay tuned after these messages.
Hi everyone. Thank you for listening. If you enjoy our show with all the stories we share, we would love your support.
And it's as easy as clicking that subscribe or follow button. This will ensure you never miss an episode and keeps us bringing you these important stories. Your support makes a huge difference. Thank you so much for being part of our podcast family.
Thanks, and keep tuning in. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Azimuth Podcast. I'm Kimberly McNabb, and joining me is my husband, Barrett McNabb.
Well, hello, everybody. Today we're continuing our coverage of presidential candidates with the Green Party presidential candidate for the 2024 election. Let's watch her campaign video.
People are tired of being thrown under the bus by wealthy elites and their bought politicians. Tired of living paycheck to paycheck, struggling to pay the rent, locked in student debt and medical debt, child poverty doubling, rising diseases of despair, growing hopelessness. The political system is broken. The 2 Wall Street parties are bought and paid for. Over 60% of us now say the bipartisan establishment's failed us, and we need a party that serves the people. I'm Jill Stein, and I'm running for president to offer that choice for the people outside of the failed 2-party system. We'll put solutions to the crises we face, crushing inequality, endless war, and climate collapse. And we'll put these front and center in this election and on the ballot across the country. The ruling parties that got us into this mess aren't getting us out. Both parties are squandering trillions on the endless war machine, fueling conflict around the world, while tens of millions here at home lack food, housing, healthcare. Democrats have betrayed their promises for working people, youth, and the climate again and again, while Republicans don't even make such promises in the first place. And both parties are a danger to our democracy, expanding censorship, criminalizing protest, throwing competitors off the ballot, suppressing debates,
American people who have been systematically locked out of these debates,
rigging their primaries. So forget the pundits and the attack dogs who tell you to ignore your misery and just keep voting for those who caused it in the first place. Change won't come from the ruling elites. It comes from we, the people. And when we stand together, we can create living wage jobs for all Americans. We can guarantee an economic Bill of Rights with the right to a job, to health care, to housing, to food, education, and more. We can abolish student debt, medical debt. We can create a Green New Deal with millions of jobs to fight climate collapse and protect Mother Earth. And we can ensure our constitutional rights and freedoms and justice for all. We can end the endless wars and rampant militarism and use diplomacy and international law instead to end violence, occupation, and apartheid. We do have the power, and we can use it in this election to start building an America and a world that works for all of us. Go to JillStein2024.com and join us.
Okay, what did you think?
Okay.
It's present, Christy. Chris Christie, you need to get that video on your website.
Exactly. Well, Jill Stein is no stranger to the political arena. She's run for president before as a Green Party candidate in 2012 and 2016, and now in 2024. She also ran as the Green Rainbow Party candidate in 2002, so she's had some practice. She graduated magna cum laude from Harvard College in 1973, concentrating in social relations, a combination of anthropology, sociology, and psychology. She then earned her medical degree from Harvard Medical School in 1979.
But what's even more interesting is how Stein transitioned from practicing internal medicine and being a professor at Harvard Medical School to becoming an environmental health activist and organizer. She co-authored a book on toxic threats to child development and environmental threats to a healthy aging.
Right, and her activism extends to protesting outside of coal plants and advocating for environmental issues on national platforms. She has received several awards for her work, including Clean Water Action's Not in Anyone's Backyard Award.
But critics have argued that Stein's candidacy in 2016 may have influenced the election outcome, especially with allegations that her voters would have otherwise supported Hillary Clinton. Now, that's a good point because we are seeing the polling that is going all over the place with Joe Biden and Donald Trump, and all of these potential independent candidacies are talking about whether
RFK.
this is going to be RFK. Are they going to be spoilers?
Yeah, like who would RFK take votes away from? There are people arguing both Biden and Trump on that one.
Yeah, and Cornel West, the same thing. Is he going to get a bunch of the Bernie Sanders block of voters? This is going to be a wild election. And so it's a good point that they say that she might have stolen votes from Hillary Clinton, and we're going to see what happens with this election cycle as well.
Yep. Well, Jill Stein addressed this in an exclusive interview with Newsweek, dismissing the idea that she had the power to decide the election single-handedly. She called it an anti-democratic to suggest that offering more choices could spoil an election. In the interview with Newsweek, Stein said, if you look at things like the Gallup poll, which is done every year and now shows practically a 2/3 majority of Americans are saying that the two parties have basically failed us and that we need a new political party that serves the people.
Now, Stein, who's Jewish, also spoke to Newsweek regarding her thoughts on Israel. And, it's amazing that these are her opinions.
Yes, she describes Israel's actions towards Gaza as genocide and also accused Israel of being an apartheid state. She said even if they wipe out Hamas, there will be the next generation of Hamas, even more vicious and brutal. However, as a presidential candidate, I would think that she would also have included what her response would have been as president.
Yeah, that's a great point. It's easy to poke, but it's a little more difficult in to say, well, this is what I would do. These are the solutions I would provide.
Easy to criticize, but offer a solution.
Exactly. But she doesn't shy away from addressing specific policies. When asked about Biden's actions on climate change, she highlighted concerns about the Inflation Reduction Act, which didn't reduce inflation at all, and its emphasis on fossil fuels.
She brings a critical perspective, especially on issues like labor, where she acknowledges positive steps like appointments to the National Labor Relations Review Board, but emphasizes the ongoing struggles and declining conditions for working people.
Now, Stein aims to be on the ballot in all 50 states, building on the Green Party's experience in defending its ballot status, because they have to apply every single time. There's always lawsuits on whether or not they can be on the ballot, and it's the same for the no-name party. There's a lot of who doesn't have a candidate yet, but they are trying to get on the ballot in all 50 states, and there's lots of lawsuits that are trying to block them, but they're winning those. So we'll imagine they'll be as successful as they have in the past.
Well, that wraps up our coverage of Jill Stein and her 2024 presidential campaign. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Azimuth Podcast. Hi, everyone. Thank you for listening. If you enjoy our show with all the stories we share, we would love your support.
And it's as easy as clicking that subscribe or follow button. This will ensure you never miss an episode and keeps us bringing you these important stories. Your support makes a huge difference. Thank you so much for being part of our podcast family.
Thanks, and keep tuning in.